I've met a lot of people in China, all of whom were immensely kind to me. I was very, very fortunate, always. I had nothing but kindness and help. Well, I think there's never been any doubt that when, in fact, Chinese art comes to countries in Australia or in England or in Europe, the huge interest that is shown, I think that they get the biggest numbers. I first became interested or aware of China when, as a very small child, my father was listening to the 6 o'clock news in England, and they announced that Chairman Mao had arrived in Beijing. And I remember him telling me how important that was in history, and to remember that. I used to travel mainly by train, because I just wanted to see and get to know the countryside, and I remember how exciting that was when I first saw it. I think the first time I went to China, I remember getting in a train and traveling to Guangzhou, and the scenery was so beautiful and so unusual, and of course just like the illustrations that I'd seen in the Perles book. Even the fishing nets, they were still there on the rivers, and so that was extremely exciting. So I'd always loved to see the countryside, and as I say, travelling in trains was a very, very good way of seeing it. A student I had, and I also, in that time, I had a driver. They discovered very quickly that I loved Chinese food, and the actual tourist food that I was getting was quite disgusting. And so they said, all right, for the same amount of money, we can go to restaurants. So I remember going around wonderful restaurants with them. But because I travelled on my own in the train, I met a lot of people. Because I was travelling on my own, people would talk to me. I know because I don't speak Chinese, that sounds strange, but we managed to communicate. I was learning all the time about China and about people's lives. And that fascinated me too. I've met a lot of people in China, all of whom were immensely kind to me. I frequently got lost, and people always helped. I used to arrive at train stations, there's nobody there. Somebody would always look after me and take me to the hotel I was supposed to be staying in, and find out who was meant to have met me and look after me. So I was very, very fortunate, always. I had nothing but kindness and help. Well, I think there's never been any doubt that when, in fact, Chinese art comes to countries in Australia or in England or in Europe, the huge interest that is shown, I think that they get the biggest numbers. I think my husband was the first person to bring the Jinchua figures here, the Entombed Warriors. That was an amazing exhibition when people were very interested, and then he had another exhibition of Qing and Ming paintings that was equally successful. I think there is just a huge interest in Chinese art. People don't necessarily know about it, but they are fascinated by it. And I think that that's really what is so interesting about having Chinese art here. I think it tells people a great deal more about China. That again will open people's eyes enormously to what happens in China about China. It's all very important. In China was changing so fast. I remember one year we went to Shanghai with a sort of matter of months in between, and Shanghai changed in the matter of months that we were there. I think Suzhou certainly changed hugely. I was there very early on, where the gardens were probably the most important things that were there, and now it's a completely different city. But I think, yes, everywhere in China that I went to and went back, revisited, it changed hugely. Have become very important big cities. None have stood still. I've seen more changes in China than I've seen anywhere in the world in the same period over the 20 years that I've been there. I really love Chinese art, and I hope that there are many more exchanges between China and Australia in the future. And I wish you Wan Shi Wu Yi.